This is Money Moves.
Money Moves coming at you on a Tuesday. The Betting Network, Sirius XM Channel 158, alongside Matt Brown, Stormy Buoanantony with you. We are live in studio, downtown Las Vegas, Circa Resort and Casino. 1 hour in the books, one more still to go. Coming up in 30 minutes, we will have VSiN Managing Editor Adam Burke join the program. We'll get into a little college hoops action with him, as well as some Major League Baseball discussion, which we do have some MLB news we'll get to in a moment. But also the NFL owners meetings ongoing out there in Florida right now. We heard from a handful of head coaches and, you know, higher ups in each of the organizations yesterday. Today, all the NFC coaches out there on the podiums, different things coming in. But the stuff that's really been making the news rounds has been some of these rule changes and concept changes over time, something we discussed in hour one, which is a significant change where both teams now are going to have the opportunity to possess the ball. There was a discussion point that was brought up of will it be 15 minutes, but they elected to keep it at 10 so that if there are overtime games in the earlier windows, less likelihood of pushing into the next round of games. So an interesting decision there. I'm happy that both teams get the opportunity to possess the ball, but now we just kind of see strategically what that might mean for teams moving forward.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I mean, from a total standpoint, obviously we got to a position where the most points that could be added in an overtime was 9, right? Because the team that gets the ball first could kick a field goal, and then the other team could come score a touchdown. You don't have to kick the extra point, game over, 9 points added. Well, I mean, in theory here, you know, we could see 10, 14, 16, whatever. Like you could see 16 points like added in an overtime or whatever, like, depending on how much time is left. Again, like that's one of the things that would be super interesting here. Kind of like how will we adjust, and how will the players adjust to the different stuff that's going on there. Remember at the beginning of last season, we were like, oh my God, they're going to call these false starts like all year long. Remember? And like it was just really just an emphasis like the first 2 weeks of the season. Yeah. Like we were just like, oh my God, these tackles are leaving early. Yeah, these tackles are leaving early, and they're calling false starts like every single time. And it's like, yeah, after 2 weeks, we forgot about it. We didn't even talk about it again, So I think it'll be some of these other rules, the same deal. I mean, the unsportsmanlike conduct just got an update as well, where they are going to officially, this is stuff they've been calling anyway, they're going to officially write it into the rules, where it is saying that anything that is a throat/gesture simulating firing or brandishing a gun or displaying the nose wipe gesture will be formally added into the language of things that are unsportsmanlike conduct into
CeeDee Lamb will be sadly disappointed because he has loved that nose wipe for a long time. I thought it was just teaching children good hygiene, but apparently
there's other meanings with all of this. Yes. There's the Hawkeye technology, which, by the way, we have had in tennis for a decade. Yep. So why we couldn't have brought it to football until now. But at least it is. You know what? Better late than never. So our first downs will actually be first downs or not. We'll actually know. No longer will we be relying on 71-year-old men who do the old man jog down the thing and run out there and just go like, yeah, this looks about right. And as we stretch a chain out to let us know whether it's a first down.
Index card.
Yeah, and instead, you know what? It'll just go, boop, yeah, that's a first down. No, it's short.
A couple things to clarify on that. Obviously, you're still going to have your standard on-field first down marker. There are still going to be the chain gang out there in order to, like, be that secondary reinforcement.
The chain gang has now become the emergency quarterback.
Yes, but don't worry, nobody is losing jobs to a robot. Okay,
it's going to be the best gig though. Like you never have to do anything now. It's like this is going to work. It works in tennis 99.9% of the time. So this is going to work 99.9% of the time. So you're just out there to be out there. Collect a check.
I am curious the one layer of this of just in terms of, because we were kind of joking in a commercial break earlier, like we're not going to have to wait as long. Well, we might a little bit, just because at least when the UFL first integrated this technology, and I know in the preseason when they were testing it out last year, a lot of this discussion had taken place about you still have to wait for the spot judge to put the ball where it goes. So if he gives you a bad spot, like that's still going to be something that fans, we're all going to complain about and have to wait for, but that's still part of the way that I think that it will work when we get to game day. So we'll see. Anything else from the NFL meetings that has stood out to you?
Not really. I mean, I think that the only other deal again that we said is that really would have affected how we look at some of these teams perhaps is just the tush push thing we talked about earlier in the show, but we're not going to know that for a month. So, I mean, like it's that does fundamentally change how you would look at the Eagles or the Bills, right? I mean, teams that did it and did it well and were converting for fourth downs and short third downs, and you get down to the goal line, it's basically an automatic touchdown, every single time. That does change how you would view these teams. However, we won't know that for a
I was going to say, as evidenced by the Super Bowl this year, when everybody remembers that touchdown that gets wiped off the board, but then they're set up at the 1 yard line, and you're like, oh, it's fine. It's going to be automatic anyways. So, it's just, that's how it has been for them. Try to get good at it, other teams, or learn how to stop it. Like, I don't really know what else to tell you. Yeah. They created, I think I said it really well earlier. They've created a schematic advantage for themselves within the framework of the rules. And right now, at least, it appears the votes are split. So they're tabling that discussion until May to see further. Also wanted to discuss real quickly before we get to the golf, because I know you do have some information you want to get out there. This Profar situation, 80 games suspended now for the Atlanta Braves, as if their season hasn't already started off bad. It gets to worse here very quickly with this news, and somebody who obviously they invested a pretty penny in. Yeah,
if you guys have not paid attention to how this season is going for the Braves early on, #not good, as they went out to the West Coast and got swept by the Padres, and then unfortunately, you go straight from there to get your butt kicked yet again. So the Braves are sitting 0-5 on the season. Jurickson Profar had a breakout year last year with the Padres that let him walk, and he ends up signing with the Braves on a pretty big deal. And he was leading off for them. I mean, there's a major part of what they had in plan for them, and he gets the 80-game suspension for whatever he took somewhere. What is the chronic gonadotropin something, and then performance enhancing drug something where, whatever. It's always some sort of something that I can't pronounce or know what it's all about. But 80 games, so he's gone for half the season for a Braves team that's already struggling. Remember, is without Spencer Strider, is still without Ronald Acuna. Yep. Probably not going to have either one of those guys back for at least a month, if not longer, on the Acuna side of things. And so, not that it's like, hey, write them off just yet. But, I mean, you're staring down the barrel of a pretty decent little deficit because, by the way, they're on the road at the Dodgers right now, which is like the worst place to be when you're trying to get out of a funk. So they're on the road at the Dodgers. So you could be looking up at a team that is like 0-7, 0-8, 0-9, 0-10, something like that when it's all said and done. And so that's tough any way you look at it. Yeah, you face a Dodgers team who is perfect right now and has had everything working for them and has the most talent. And while these odds do shift, is minus 550 in their respective division to start the season. Like, it just to give you an idea of how good this team is. But yeah, the Braves certainly could use Spencer Strider. And they could use a little help for sure. No doubt about that. Okay, let's get to some golf for you real quickly, because we joked in the last segment the Final Four is not the only thing that's going on out there in Texas and San Antonio. So talk about the Valero for us. Yes, Valero. Yes, the Valero Texas Open at TPC San Antonio. This is a par 72, 7,438 yards. If we're looking at what is really the defense of this course, there's 64 bunkers and there's only 3 holes that have water danger. The defense really has become the wind over the years at this course. And then it has been unseasonably warm over there in San Antonio. So they are expecting this course to be really, really firm. So that is also another reason that this course could be a little bit of trouble for these dudes, even though we're getting not a ton of bunkers. It's below tour average. Obviously not very many water holes in 3. And then the rough is only like 2¼ inches, which is not very penal either for these dudes. So really looking at the course conditions and the wind as to what might come into play here with all this. If the wind doesn't blow, they can probably go really low here on this course. If the wind does blow, then you can start getting some funky results with all of this. It is a tree-lined course, and Stormy, it is a course that you'll see. We're getting a lot of dudes that are playing the Masters next week as a tune-up, because there is at least some similarities here, because this course is all oak-lined and whatever and all that. And so, I think these dudes wanted to play this week to go out there and play a course that was, heavily tree-lined, not, if you get over into the brush and you get over into whatever, you're in some real trouble. You have to, kind of figure out how to do it, because we're talking Ludwig Oberg, Hideki Matsuyama, Tommy Fleetwood, Keegan Bradley, Patrick Cantlay, Jordan Spieth, Tom Kim, Tony Finau, Sam Burns, Akshay Bhatia, Corey Connors. They're all playing this event, right? I mean, this is the week before they're heading over to play at Augusta. So it is a really, really good field for the people that are there in San Antonio. Your favorite, Ludwig Oberg, 12-1, followed by Tommy Fleetwood, 14-1, Corey Connors, 16-1, Patrick Cantlay, 18-1. So that's kind of your
your short shots in a field without Scotty Scheffler and Rory McIlroy, which is always nice for some bettors that are looking for a little bang for their buck.
Exactly. Again, I'm not the. We got Ludwig home earlier this year, but the reason we even ended up playing him because the number had drifted so far on him that we were like, okay, the talent doesn't match what the number is. Now the number does match the talent here in this field. And if I miss out on him at 12, I didn't miss him at 22. I was able to get that home. I'll miss him at 12. If he wins this tournament, so be it. At 12, I'm not going to go there. Tommy Fleetwood actually was the number 1 overall guy in my model this week, but at 14-1 and a guy that's never won in the United States, I'm probably not going there either.
So is that how you have to approach him, basically, like until he can break the seal or whatever it is to finally win in this country? You can't bet him?
It's like play the top 5s and top 10s on him because he's a high placing machine. He just can't get it across the finish line, And so the first guy that made my card was Daniel Berger, actually the number 3 overall guy in my model this week, where you're really going after an approach game here, and you're really going it off of guys that won't spray it off the tees, and even though it's not that penal, you don't want to be way off into the brush and stuff like that. And so Berger striping it right now, playing really well. You can find him out there 35-1 in all of this. Like I said, 3rd overall in the model, which is certainly way better than playing a Fleetwood or Ludwig at 12 and 14.
Make sure, by the way, you get on the podcast feed for Long Shots, Matt Brown, Kelly Bidlin, Wes Reynolds each and every week, giving out their angles on all of these events. And, of course, the Masters coming up before you know it. So get their best bets this week. That'll be in your feed soon. Don't go anywhere. More money moves coming up after this.
You're watching Money Moves here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Hour 2 of Money Moves right here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. He's Matt Brown. I'm Stormy Buoanantony. It's April Fool's Day, ladies and gentlemen, which real quickly, missed opportunity by me. Last segment, we were commiserating about how brutal the Braves start has been, and we're talking about how there's no Spencer Strider, no Ronald Acuna Jr., and I don't even bring up that Dave Ross got Jensen Lewis this morning by saying, oh no, bad news coming through. It looks like Ronald Acuna has had a setback in his rehab process, which was a lie. Like, he was just messing with it, and he told him real quickly, hey, I'm just kidding. Oh no, don't worry about it. But he got him good this morning. So I'm glad you haven't done anything like that to me.
That is like, well, I know that
to my knowledge.
Here's the thing. I know you had a morning.
Thank you.
You had a morning, so I don't think I should just like pile on, right? It was things that were out of your control, which makes it worse, right? Because it's like you had to take on this stress this morning that you could not prevent. There was nothing you could do unless you had a jetpack, and you could have just like jetpacked here. But you weren't going to leave Svetlana on the side of the road.
That would be fun.
You weren't going to do that. So
for anyone who didn't understand any of what Matt just said to me, I was stuck in mad traffic this morning, about 2 hours ish in my vehicle, which was not awesome, and my car's name is Svetlana, so I wasn't just leaving a stranger on the side of the road. It was my vehicle, which is like, the color of her is caviar and like a nice black interior exterior, and so I think Matt's actually the one that came up with my car's name, and I love it, and I feel like it's got the proper vibes. That said, we're gonna have a little April Fool's fun here with a segment called Foolish or Foolproof. And basically, we're going to throw a bet at each other and say whether or not you think it is a foolish wager to make today or foolproof. And obviously, we know there's no such thing as locks, but we're having wordplay fun, okay?
Yes.
Let us have this. So I'm going to start in the NCAA tournament. Obviously, Duke is looking like the best team in the country, and they have for a while. Who's the star of that team? Cooper Flagg, who shouldn't even be in college because he's 18. Like, it's ridiculous that the best guy in college basketball is a kid who actually like skipped time and shouldn't even be in college. He should be a senior in high school right now. Yeah. Neither here nor there. Foolish or foolproof for Cooper Flagg to score 25 plus points against the Houston Cougars in the Final Four.
I will go with foolish.
Plus 340 is the price, by the way.
I mean, even at that price, I mean, he's awesome. But the thing is, the reason he's awesome is he just does everything, and it's not necessarily like he has to go out and just light it up on the scoreboard. Sure, he had a 30-point game, but the other 3 games in the tournament were 14, 18, and 16, right? And so he rebounds, he plays defense, he brings the ball, he distributes. Like, I mean, there's all kinds of things that you look. I mean, 5 assists, 6 assists, 7 assists, right? You look at these boards, 9, 6, 9, 7. He just does kind of everything on the court. Should he need to try and take over the game? I guess he could, but I don't think it'll be necessary. And then further, even with that, Stormy, I mean, we are talking about a game that does have the number 1 defensive team in the country. So could they figure out a way, or do they just sell out to maybe try and get Cooper Flagg, off of his game? Are they going to double team him the entire time, leave someone open and see what happens? I mean, like I think if you're Houston, you probably have to, at least at some point in this game, maybe it's the second half that you do this, but you're probably going to have to do some sort of gambling, get out of your comfort zone, do some stuff that you haven't done all year long. And I don't think that you're going to need Cooper Flagg, the absolute, ball hog scorer in this one. I think he just has the super balanced game like we've seen 3 of the 4 games, as opposed to the 30-point game where we have the 14, 7, and 5, the 18, 9, and 6, the 16, 9, and 3 type of game.
That's my exact thought process, especially considering the defense with which they will be playing. So, yeah, that's the approach that I have here.
Let me throw this one to you because, me and the Hockeys, not necessarily don't get along. Certainly not this time of year for sure. So Alex Ovechkin, anytime goal versus the Bruins, plus 110. We know, obviously, this is a bet that you already kind of have, as you will be sweating every single time that he takes the ice down the stretch.
Yeah, I sure hope so. It would be fun. And with the way that the Bruins are defending lately, I could certainly see it happen. The only thing that would make me view this as foolish is a stupid trend that he's been scoring a goal every other game, and he just scored one. So maybe he could be left off this time, but again, the Bruins defense hasn't been defensing. Let's put it that way. Whether it has been Eunice Korpisalo or Jeremy Swayman in net, we're looking at 6 goals allowed, 7, 5, 6, 6. They are riding a, what are we at now, 8-game losing streak right now, straight up, with only one of those games going to overtime. They're losing, and it hasn't been pretty lately. I like the Caps tonight, but even looking at the lone game that Alex Ovechkin played against Boston this year, they scored 3 goals, but he was not one of them, only 3 shots on net in that game. I think that because of how Boston's defense is playing, sure, I don't mind it, but I would prefer the shots on goal with him each and every night right now, just because we expect him to be firing, to try to reach the record. I'm sure he could score today, but that's not a bet that I have in hand. All right, let's keep it moving. Foolish or foolproof to my baseball man. Aaron Judge over 62.5 home runs this year. 3-1.
Foolish. Move on. No, I mean, no, it's seriously, it's like he's never won. He's never hit this. He never hit 63 home runs. So it would be a first for him in his career. Secondly,
and we want more than 3-1 for a career first. Yeah.
I mean, secondly, in all of this, you would have to be completely healthy all season long in order to have slightest chance at this at all, right? I mean, when he did hit 62, he played 157 games, which is, as we know, 162 games. He played every game but 5, and we have not had the perfect vision of health here with Aaron Judge over his career. So, yeah, I mean, this is absolutely foolish. You need much, much more than this at 60. Brian asked about that. He doesn't use the torpedo bat. He might end up using it. Everyone's using it, but he doesn't even use the torpedo bat. So for me, foolish for sure. I would need double this for it to even be within consideration. There also comes the fact that if he starts to hit home runs at such a rate, we've already seen him intentionally walked with nobody on already in this season, right? We're a week in. We've already seen him intentionally walked with nobody on, right? So, I mean, if he starts hitting home runs at the rate that he has a couple of different times in his career, then he's just going to be on first base.
If he goes, let's say, the next month playing the way that he has, are we all, anyone who made bets in the MVP markets against Judge or against Shohei Ohtani, are we all just going to look foolish to the name of the segment, essentially?
Dead.
Yeah. Okay.
Dead. Kind of like all my Rookie of the Year tickets after one turn through the rotation with all these guys. It's all dead.
Just wanted to throw it out there. Jeez.
It's all dead. All right, so let's go back to the Hockeys here. William Karlsson to score an anytime goal versus the Oilers. This is
I'm giving too many no's here, but no. He has not scored a goal since December. And I'm only getting 3-1.
Are we going to go down and say every one of these are foolish?
Well, I think
is that what we're going to do?
I would look for anytime points, over 1.5 points potentially. I think that the Golden Knights can score on this Oilers team. I really like them tonight. Maybe a regulation bet on the VGK over Edmonton, who's going to be without Connor McDavid today, by the way. But I don't. Yeah, I'm not betting William Karlsson to score a goal anytime soon. But let's go down. So foolish for that one. Foolish or foolproof? Rory McIlroy to win the Masters plus 650.
Everybody knows my betting style, so foolish on this. I'm never betting single-digit guys like in any tournament, even a tournament that is a smaller field, and even a guy that's as awesome as Rory McIlroy is. There's just no way.
Less about the number, more about can he?
Can he? Obviously, this is the one he needs, right?
Correct.
Like
That's
this
why
is
I asked
it.
the question.
I mean, he is playing about as well as he's played in his career ever right now. If you look at the height of his powers, he's hitting it longer now. His proximity to the pin is a little bit better. Like all the stuff is just a little bit better. He was having trouble with his wedge play there for a while. His wedges are dialed. Like everything is about as good as it could be for Rory, but it is the very best of the very best going up against him, and that's the difference at the Masters, right? A incredibly tough course, and it's the very best of the very best. And oh, by the way, that little guy, Scotty Scheffler, went out and nearly came all the way back and won the tournament this past week as well, because he decides to go out and just go nuclear low 2 rounds in a row. You know, he's like off the leaderboard. Everyone's like, oh my God, Scotty's struggling. And then he just 2 rounds in a row.
All I know is if Rory has a 1-stroke lead going into the last 3 holes, I'm betting against him.
There you go. There you go.
Is that terrible? That's so terrible. Okay.
Foolish or foolproof? Travis Hunter will be drafted by the Browns plus 425.
I would say neither, but I don't hate the bet, because based on all of the stuff that we're hearing about the Browns, I am, and correct me if I'm wrong, I am of the belief right now that they are not going to draft a quarterback at 2. They are not going to trade up with the Titans, and that they are going to take either Abdul Carter or Travis Hunter and then get Kirk Cousins.
I hear a bunch of that.
So I don't see that as outlandish.
I don't see him going to really at all. So me personally, I think they might take a quarterback still.
You do?
When it's all said and done.
That was my initial belief for such a long time, but I keep on hearing all of these reports that it basically feels like if they don't draft a quarterback, Kirk Cousins is a done deal.
Yeah, I think they might still take a quarterback when it's all said and done, and further, if not, then like they always said, they want the unicorn. I think the unicorn's Abdul Carter.
Sharp Plays could be your unicorn. Head over to sharpplays.com. Since 2011, they've been building trusted relationships with major sports books and sports insiders worldwide, giving daily updates on what top professional sports bettors and betting groups are betting on. They've also just launched a cutting-edge AI betting analyst that'll give you even more selections and reports. And the best part, you can check out Sharp Plays' free content anytime. Get real-time betting action reports, alerts, and more through email and X directly from the pros. Head over to sharpplays.com today. Join a team that's never had a losing year. Sharpplays.com. We're going to take a quick timeout. When we come back, VSiN's own Adam Burke stopping by. Money Moves.
You're watching Money Moves here on VSiN, the sports betting network.
To here on Money Moves as we welcome you back to the show alongside Matt Brown, Stormy Buoanantony with you. Time to welcome in good friend of the show, VSiN.com managing editor Adam Burke, who joins us here on the Progressive Guest Line. We're going to get to some college hoops, Final Four discussion. We've also got Major League Baseball, as Adam is our resident MLB expert. But I want to start with an article that you guys put up on the website regarding the college basketball crown tournament that's been here in Las Vegas. Obviously, there was a lot of drama when it came to sports books and tickets being voided and frustration from a lot of bettors, but about like kind of how this can happen essentially with sports books and regulations. So can you kind of give the snapshot of what went down and where we sit going into today's games?
Yeah, so I think basically what happened is that the sports books were like, okay, well, this is a college basketball postseason tournament. We don't have to worry about anything. We'll just put lines up as we normally would. The thing about the college basketball crown, though, is that there is a financial prize for the winner, the runner-up, and the teams that finish in 3rd and 4th place in terms of NIL packages. What that entails, I'm not entirely sure, but this tournament put on by Fox Sports and AEG, the entertainment group. So, there's an actual cash incentive for these teams. So it kind of blurs the lines of amateurism, which, the NCAA really isn't an amateur product anymore with the NIL. But, gaming regulators in a lot of states were like, yeah, we can't allow betting on this because it's not really an amateur sport because there's a cash incentive available. So the sports books, it seems like maybe made a mistake, not double checking, not clarifying what they were able to do with the college basketball crown. Of course, it's still up in the state of Nevada, but other states around the country, they pulled it down. They voided bets. Some I saw on X out there that some were not paying out winners, but were taking money from losing bets in that first Utah and Butler game. Hopefully that's all been smoothed out. But look, I mean, this is something that they'll have to figure out because it does seem like this tournament is here to stay going forward.
I'm looking at the tournament lines out there, and if there was, there were a few teams there, Adam, that were short shots heading in, and some teams as long as 100, 110 to 1, 200 to 1 in all of this. As we headed into it, was there any team that you had your eye on? I mean, there were some teams. I mean, you talk about a futures ticket, but it cashes in a week, right? I mean, there were 750s, 8 to 1s, 10 to 1s out there. Was there anything that was worth getting in the account?
Yeah, there were a couple of teams that I took a look at. I like Boise State. I mean, they blew out George Washington yesterday, which was nice, but I really like the draw for them. Also, the thing about this tournament is these rosters, by and large, are a mess. Plus, you had 2 interim head coaches, one for Utah, one for Villanova here today, Mike Nardi, who was on the staff there, and they're trying to figure out things going forward for them. So, that's one thing. You had some coaching questions here. Also, you have a lot of players in the transfer portal already. I was on Nebraska yesterday. Arizona State has kind of been picked apart by the portal. There's not a whole lot of excitement around that program. Took a while, but Nebraska did wind up covering the 5.5 there. Tonight, Tulane and USC, a couple of teams that have some question marks. But the biggest one, 2:30 Pacific time tip here, Oregon State and UCF. Oregon State's missing their top 3 scorers. UCF's top scorer and rebounder is in the portal. Not to mention some of the bench guys that they have as well. So, some of these rosters are just kind of ravaged by the time of the year. So this has been a little bit of a tricky handicap here. But I did play Boise State pre-flop in the futures market at around 5 to 1. And also took a shot on Villanova in the plus 650 range, just because I think they're one of the more talented teams left. And it doesn't seem like the portal is too big of an issue for them. So those are the 2 that I took. And they're also on opposite sides of the bracket, which is nice.
Not a lot of defense yesterday, all 4 of those games going over, and we've seen movement on the totals all toward the over today as well. Meanwhile, you do have some action in the NIT tonight as well. The Loyola Chicago Ramblers taking on UT Chattanooga later on. What are you looking at?
Yeah, so, Chattanooga, in the first game, they beat Middle Tennessee in a game that went to multiple overtimes. And Middle Tennessee has a guy, Essam Mostafa, one of their big guys, 6'10", 6'11", in that range. He had 30 points in that game, and I believe 16 rebounds, 16 or 17 rebounds. Up until this point, Chattanooga hasn't played anybody with an interior presence like that. They get one tonight with Loyola Chicago and Miles Rubin, a guy who has more dunks than Chattanooga has as a team, a guy that's a very, very efficient shooter at the rim. And I also just think that Loyola Chicago, I mean, they went on the road and won 2 games in California. They beat San Jose State, then beat San Francisco, came back, won a game at home. Now they're going to go and play in a neutral setting in Indianapolis. So travel is a little bit easier for them for whatever that's worth. But I just think they match up really, really well here in this game against Chattanooga. Chattanooga wants to shoot threes. That's what they're going to have to do. Frank Champion's probably out again for them, so they won't have their top interior defender and the guy who actually led the team in assist rate throughout the course of the season. So I think this is a spot where the mocks just don't match up particularly well here. I know they beat Bradley, but if Bradley had Darius Hannah, the Braves would have won that game, and he wound up getting hurt early in this tournament. So I like Loyola Chicago, laying a short number there at Hinkle Fieldhouse on Butler's campus in Indy.
All right, let's switch over to Major League Baseball and get your thoughts here on everything that's going down right now. I mean, I know you have some picks for today, but just overall real quick, we get the Yerkes and Profar news. We know the Braves have started over for the season. Got a couple more games with the Dodgers. Not looking great there either with all of that. Is it an overreaction to say the Braves might be in trouble? We don't know exactly when Acuna is coming back. We don't know exactly when Strider is coming back for them. They're going to be without the guy they went and signed to be their leadoff hitter for half of the season as well. How do you view all of this with them in that division? And, of course, there is a game tonight against the Dodgers.
Yeah, so, I mean, I think they got a pretty good chance tonight with Chris Sale going up against the Dodgers. I mean, the Dustin May, I mean, we'll see what he's able to do. coming back. I mean, this is going to be a very, very emotional start for him. His first regular season start in quite some time. He was emotional during some of his spring training appearances as well. But look, I mean, the Braves, I'm looking at them to find a buy point in the futures market now because they've gotten great pitching. Spencer Schwellenbach was terrific. AJ Smith-Shawver's stuff looked really, really good for them a couple of days ago or last night, whenever it was. But this is a team that's getting pretty good pitching right now. They have a good bullpen. They have a solid offense with a bunch of guys that have track records. The Profar thing is a bummer, obviously, because they gave him a multi-year deal coming off of a career year. But there is enough offensive pieces here for this team. Plus, as you mentioned, they're going to get Acuna back. Strider's probably 6 weeks or so maybe from coming back. I'm looking to take a futures position on this team. I kind of hope they continue to struggle so I can get a good number. But I fully expect this Braves team to be there in the NL East race when all is said and done. And I think the slow start, look, maybe San Diego's just good. They haven't lost a game yet. The Dodgers, we know, are really good. Tough start to the season for the Braves, I think.
Yeah, hey, maybe the Padres are just good, Matt. Jeez.
No. I mean, it's in like what we've seen is we've already seen I'm not going to say overreaction, but we've seen a reaction from the market. The Braves are now the second shot. It is the Phillies that are your favorite there in that division, with the Mets only a little bit behind the Braves. So, yeah, I mean, Adam, well, maybe we get a couple more losses out of the Braves here. They are playing the Dodgers, for crying out loud. So, I mean, maybe we can start off over here and we get this thing drift out to over 2-1 on this Braves team. And
see if maybe you can get a better number and buy back in on them. The Padres, by the way, and Michael King taking on your Guardians today, my friend, is a -175 favorite. Another game you have interest in, though, is the Giants. Logan Webb on the hill taking on the Astros. This one, San Francisco, -122 moneyline favorite. Total in this one, 8. What stood out to you as you broke it down?
Yeah, so interesting pitching matchup here. I mean, Logan Webb is a guy that if you look at his home road splits, he's obviously better at home, which is not a big surprise when you pitch at Oracle Park, which is one of the top pitchers parks in baseball. ERA over 4 in his career on the road. Didn't look particularly crisp in his first start against the Reds. Walked 3 guys, which is something that he virtually never does. Gave up a lot of hard hit contact in that game, which is a problem for him, but it was elevated hard contact in that first start. So that's a bit of a concern for me heading into this start against the Astros. But look, I'm simply buying on Hayden Wesneski here, a guy that the Astros got in the Kyle Tucker deal from the Cubs. His stuff profile looked really good in spring training. Didn't miss a whole lot of bats, but he wasn't getting pulled, didn't give up a lot of home runs. That's the biggest issue for him in his 2 MLB seasons so far. He gives up the long ball. The Giants are being much more aggressive offensively this year. They fired Farhan Zaidi and replaced him with Buster Posey. They've been swinging at a much higher rate. They've been chasing at a higher rate here so far. They're not looking to draw walks. They're not looking to be patient. And I think that kind of plays into what Wesneski wants to do as a guy who's a slider forward type of pitcher. So the other thing in this game I think is important to look at, bullpen usage. The Giants bullpen, they've been worked a little bit here over the last couple of days. Houston's bullpen has not been. Their primary relievers have not been called upon in 2 or 3 days. So I think that helps them from a full game standpoint, and I'm buying some stock here in Wesneski. I like the Astros as a home dog, as you mentioned, in that +102, +105 range.
Adam, you're awesome as usual, buddy. Thank you so much for doing this. We appreciate it.
All right, have a good one, guys.
Adam Burke, everybody, VSiN.com managing editor. And we didn't get to the pitching props here, but Adam has an article that's coming out today with all of his leans and bets on today's slate, including a handful of props as well as those bets he gave out there. Also still to come today on the website, our guy Zach Cohen's best bets in the NBA. Wes Reynolds going to have a write-up for the Texas Open in the PGA. And, of course, we've got everything in college basketball, the NHL, all right now, VSiN.com.
You're watching Money Moves here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
We are wrapping things up on a Tuesday. Money Moves, VSiN, the Sports Betting Network, Sirius XM Channel 158, alongside Matt Brown, Stormy Buoanantony with you. And it is that time in the day that everybody's waiting for. Stormy and Matt, what are you guys betting?
Oh, I thought you were talking about just the
money on?
I thought you were talking about just like the waterfall of news we're getting from the NFL. I didn't know. I mean, it's just like it's just a never-ending river of news that is coming through the Twitter machine right now on the on all the stuff going on in the NFL. We're getting 3 Christmas Day games, 2 of which are on Netflix. 1 is on Amazon. So all streaming Christmas Day for all of that. So again, there's your sprinkle of there's your sprinkle right there of Christmas news, Christmas Day NFL news.
Excellent news. Mm-hmm. Matt knows that I have to go to the restroom, and so all of the water remarks here, I really just don't need in my life. Thank you. I've got 10 more minutes of work to do here, and then I'm going to be on my merry way. So it's cruel what you're doing to your friend and colleague.
I have no idea
on television
what you're
and radio.
Talking about. Listen, let's get some best bets in. We'll try to dance through the raindrops here and see if we can't get things rocking and rolling. Like we'll try to win some bets today.
Yeah, we'll see if we can. I just wire you the way that you are. Okay, what do you have? Best bets today, presented by GBank, the official bank of VSiN. We can go like 1-1. Any action that you got today?
Yeah, I got a couple in baseball. I am backing the Rays at home against the Pirates. Shane Baz, a guy I'm pretty high on this year for this Rays team. I think that this Rays team as well is a team that we look at and we automatically think, well, offensive suppressed. Well, we have to remember, again, they're not playing in their ballpark. They're playing in a AAA ballpark, Steinbrenner Field. So they're getting a much more friendly hitter's park there for this Tampa Bay Rays team. Again, I'm pretty high on Shane Baz. I'm playing him on the run line, though, at minus 1.5 runs at plus 120 as opposed to the minus 175 that's out there. Just a little too rich for me in this one. So I will take the 1.5 run line here on Shane Baz. I'm against a Pittsburgh Pirates team that just doesn't have very many good players. They have a lot of good pitching and, unfortunately, not a lot of good hitting to back that up. So give me the Rays at home on the run line there at plus 120.
Okay, so I decided that I wanted to do a little baseball dabbling. I am not a big baseball bettor, but I want to do something each day to have involvement, investment, follow along, make
outside
some
of your fantasy team, right?
Correct, yes.
Did you have, just real quick as an aside, do you like your team or do you hate it? You hate it?
Yeah.
Everybody hates their fantasy baseball team as soon as they draft it. You know that? Like there's no one who comes out going, "Man, I love that team."
Well, and you also know, like, I am still kind of figuring stuff out in general and didn't fully know what I was doing, and it didn't go well for me. But neither here nor there. I wanted to have a little bit of fun though, and I did a parlay between 2 game overs today. So the Yankees and Diamondbacks over. If you can still find an 8, there is one rogue out there, although we're largely sitting 8.5 kind of across the board. And I mean, 8.5 at even, I would prefer the 8, but 8.5 at even money isn't the end of the world. Pairing it up with the Cubs and A's over 8 as well. And so my thought process in both of these, Diamondbacks and Yankees, obviously the bats are working for them so far this season. We trust the offense. The Yankees with all the torpedo bat stuff, whatever you want to call it. The lineup is fierce, and they have been scoring at will. And Aaron Judge is healthy at this point, and he's having individual games where he's having 3 home runs in a single game. So I like that angle of going over in that one. And then just generally looking at the Cubs-A's. So we saw for the first time the bats going in that Sacramento ballpark, and the Cubs put up an 18 spot. And I'm not saying that that's going to happen every single day by any means, but I don't want to bet unders there right now. I am kind of just feeling out what that ballpark is like and taking a shot on putting those overs together pays. If you do the 8.5 around plus 280, and then obviously if you're laying the juice on the flat 8, it's going to be a little less.
Your only moment of pause, I think, there, just for the fact that the Diamondbacks are throwing Corbin Burns today.
Sure.
But you're riding a heater, right, on this Yankees team, and it doesn't seem like any arm is safe at this point against them. And at the end of the day, we don't know much about Will Warren. So it could be, if you're talking about an over, maybe it's not the Yankees that are putting up the runs today. Maybe it's the Diamondbacks.
Well, and that's and I have faith in their lineup too. So
it's so I will allow you to get to the second leg of that so long as it is the Cubs that are putting up the runs, because my other bet that I have today is on the Cubs and Justin Steele going up against this A's team. Look, Severino's fine, but he is not good by any stretch of the imagination. This Cubs lineup finally woke up yesterday. This was really underperforming lineup before yesterday, so maybe we kind of open things up here a little bit with this Cubs squad. And Justin Steele, another guy, kind of like I was talking about with Shane Baz, like Justin Steele, another dude that I was very, very high on coming into this season. And so I do have a little bit of my priors coming into this, but remember, the Cubs were one of those teams that also played in those early games against the Dodgers. So Justin Steele has actually been out there. Like, Justin Steele's already been through the rotation now once already. So Justin Steele making his multiple start on the season. So I like that he's already been out there, And so give me him. I know it's on the road. I know you talk about that ballpark, but as long as the Cubs put up the runs for you, that's all I care about. Let me get Justin Steele sliding into that kind of like conversation of being one of the kind of top 25, 30-ish pitchers in the league, which is where I had him whenever we entered the season.
Okay. I have a couple bets in the NHL, one of which I really like is the Lightning in regulation against the New York Islanders. I also like the Islanders team total under 2.5. I just feel like this game screams Tampa and, quite frankly, low scoring, but not enough to get me on the under here, considering these two just played each other to the tune of a 5-3 game the other day in Tampa. That said, it was Jonas Johansson that was playing in net that game for the Tampa Bay Lightning, not Andrei Vasilevsky, who has been playing excellent lately. Islanders offense being what it is, I feel like they should be able to hold them down. So that's kind of the angle I'm taking. The Lightning have been red hot lately, won 3 in a row, 6 of their last 8. Meanwhile, you look at this Islanders team who's riding a 5-game skid, allowing 6 goals, 5, 4, 4. It just feels like one of these situations where the Lightning should come up pure. I also was looking at maybe some props that you could tie in Braden Point to have a point if you wanted to parlay something in. Feel confident that he is a well-known Islander killer. So we shall see there.
Last one for me here. Go ahead and give me the Tigers on the road as dogs. Again, we took the Tigers yesterday as dogs. They got it home. Give me the Tigers again as dogs. I understand this isn't as favorable of a matchup because Logan Gilbert's on the hill for the Mariners, but again, you can pitch very, very well, and if your team can't score any runs, it doesn't really matter. And so Casey Mize, a guy that was a super high prospect coming up, had a good year last year, maybe started to finally figure some stuff out here in the majors. He is going up against a very poor Mariners lineup that just really and truly cannot get anything done with the sticks. I really like this Tigers team a ton from a lineup perspective. They're just knocking the cover off the ball right now. So give me specifically at plus 145, 150-ish out there, Tigers on the road as dogs. Let's ride it again tonight against the Mariners that hit about like me and you. Yeah,
okay.
Like me and you, basically. That's how we're doing this.
I'm riding another heater today with the Vegas Golden Knights. So I mentioned liking the Lightning in regulation. They're a minus 175 money line favorite flat in regulation. It's around minus 105. The Golden Knights, another big favorite as well at home today, but it's around even money. You can get maybe plus 102 as well price wise on the VGK against the Oilers, which could be a playoff preview, but not at full strength for Edmonton, who's been without Connor McDavid now for a couple weeks. We saw the report yesterday that he's expected to come back before the end of the regular season, but he is not in Vegas today or expected to be on this 4-game road trip for the Oilers, where things sit right now. Vegas won 6 in a row. They're scoring goals at will, yes, in large part against lesser than competition, but I feel kind of similarly against Edmonton right now. Edmonton without McDavid, Vegas is considerably better than them. It's just, I feel very firmly in that, and the fact that you can get them at home at T-Mobile Arena at a decent, small, even money or better price feels very worthwhile to me for Vegas.
Well, let me go ahead and I'll just wrap things up here with all of this. A G-Bank is official bank here of VSiN G-Bank, up in the ante with up to $750 in bonuses for you new customers out there. If you spend $1,000 in the first 90 days, going to give you $250 in bonuses. And if you're a big baller, there's another way you can get at least up to $500 more in bonuses. Apply now at VSiN.com/GBank. That is VSIN.com/GBank. Subject to credit approval, terms and conditions do apply. So as we wade through the waters here in the NFL news, how about one more splash here for you, Stormy? Art Rooney II said he keeps hearing that star quarterback Aaron Rodgers is, quote, headed in our direction. We keep getting positive sort of signals about it. So, yeah, I'd say we feel pretty good about it at this point. I guess maybe he will end up being a Steeler.
I think it should make sense. Hopefully he doesn't give the Steelers a precipitous downfall
Yes. It would be.
I'm not as good at it as you are. Okay,
we tried very hard. I didn't mix in torrential, which as we all know,
one of your favorite.
As we know, torrential's only
words. Talked
about like with water. Like that's about it. We never hear torrential.
If you wondered why I didn't have much personality that segment, rewind it about 10 minutes and you'll find out. On that note, fun show as always, my friend. Appreciate you. For Matt Brown and our wonderful producer Brian Ortega, I'm Stormy Buoanantony. That's a wrap on this Tuesday edition of Money Moves, but keep it locked right here on VSiN all day, including coming up after this quick break. Prop Points is up next. You're going to see Nick Whalen and Jeff Erickson holding it down.